Hello, welcome to Skye Sweaty Record Review, episode 111. It's the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. You may hear the dogs, they're wrestling in the background. That's kind of chaotic, but that actually fits with today's episode. I'm going to be reviewing the third Patrica Taxxon album that I've listened to this year, Victory Lap. So in case you aren't familiar, Patrica Taxxon is this young guy out of Santa Cruz who's been releasing an album basically once a month. And I'm just listening to them each time. I find his work interesting. I'm pretty certain that, inside of him, there's, a masterpiece album that will eventually come out, perfectly formed and beautiful. And I think that all those little stages that will lead up to that are being shared with us through Bandcamp. At least that's my kind of pet theory. It's interesting because today, or this week, a Mountain Goats album also came out. And if you've heard my reviews of Patrica Taxxon, I always say that his voice, the thing it reminds me of most, is listening to the Mountain Goats back in the late 90s. Now, I don't think that this is a direct influence. I don't think that Patrica Taxxon listens to the Mountain Goats. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But it was weird. I actually had this sense of anxiety. Man, I don't want to, crap on Patrica Taxxon for sounding like a, less accomplished Mountain Goats. Because, Mountain Goats are great. It's this guy singing acoustic guitar, wonderful personal songwriting. I didn't want to do that. And I don't have to. Because this album that Patrica Taxxon released is, nothing at all like Mountain Goats. It's actually the way I was introduced to him. I was introduced to him by some album, I think called Punk, something like that. And it's just totally psychotic. Just taking pop music and smashing it together with weird beats and weird sounds and just complete, it is a punk aesthetic. It's just copyright doesn't exist, nothing matters, postmodern, post-structuralist, take it apart, put it back together, who cares, there are no rules. Is it art? Does it matter? Is it music? Does it matter? Is there music? Is there art? Kind of all these questions all at once. So that's what this is, and I really enjoyed it. And I think my little pet theory that listening to a year of this guy's music is going to lead to something good is really paying off. Because the last couple albums, they're great, but it's kind of, similar. Okay, how's he feeling about his life? Okay, what's he want to talk about being a social media personality? All these things, and then pow! Insanity. The quote that he includes on Bandcamp is, "I've made my statements, now it's time for some fun." And this is a really fun album. If you like psychotic stuff, like opening up an album with some guy talking about getting a free taco.
Hey, yo, this boy, he's got his free taco. Hey, yo, this boy, he's got his free taco. Hey, yo, this boy, he's got his free taco. Hey, yo, this boy, he's got his free taco. Hey, yo, this boy,
and then mixing that together with a super messed up version of Lose Yourself by Eminem. That's what the whole thing's like. It's fun, it's weird, it's got these little quotes that you kind of get stuck in your head. Or, we got his free taco. And the main thing it seems to be is almost he was, okay, so sometimes, I don't know if you ever get this feeling, but you listen to Top 40 radio and it becomes so ugly it's beautiful, or so beautiful it's ugly. I don't really know what it is, but if you listen to it enough and carefully enough, and I think that's what he's doing, you just sort of lose your mind. Thinking about these melodies that are repeated over and over again and then mixed in with some other song and just having it just all mixed together, and a really tough thing to kind of place. There's something about listening to Top 40 radio that can help you just sort of lose your mind, which is a theme I've been going back to. So my favorite track on this album is the track Sorry Carly. I really like this sax line. And I'm going to play it for you. If the dogs will ever stop barking at each other. They're actually much more entertaining than me, but I can't just film dogs fighting. They're not fighting. Yeah, now he's licking the other dog's genitals. That's how they always end their fights. If professional wrestling ended that way, I think people would enjoy it a lot more. Okay, that'd be really funny, right? They're all hitting each other. Yeah, okay, I'm going off the rails here. That's what this album does to me. It brings me off the rails. So it's this beautiful saxophone line on this track, Sorry Carly. And it's kind of a nice haunting line. And then he takes the chorus from Bad and Bougie by the Migos, the kind of mumble trap rappers, and layers it in, but then layers it a couple times on top of itself. And then out of nowhere is a sped up version of Believer by Imagine Dragons. And again, I don't know if he's like making fun of this, if he's trying to praise it, or just see what happens when you put these things together. But the assemblage is quite nice. It feels kind of Dada-ish, you know, like early 20th century surrealism and sort of... So here's the saxophone line. And you're thinking, all right, it's a nice laid-back track. Just kind of chill out, listen to it. And then there's Imagine Dragons. And you're like... And then that's going to cut out, and then we're going to have Bad and Bougie. Well, not quite. Wait, you know what, though? I think what he's actually doing is helping to understand the similarities between them. Like, the way the Believer's sung is not quite the triplet Migos flow, but it's kind of close. And then the way that kind of actually sounds a little bit like Bad and Bougie. And so it's these nice layers. It's well done. I wouldn't say it's precious. Like, you don't listen to it and go, oh my God, this guy just matches everything perfectly. But I don't think that's the purpose. I think it's intentionally slightly off, slightly jagged. You know, like when they do a filling in your mouth and it's not like totally polished and you just feel it kind of matches together like that. And then by the end, it's just complete insanity. So you have at least two versions of the Migos. The sped up Imagine Dragons and the saxophone. So it's great. The whole thing's like that. Other tracks, I'll just like, you know, go through the album. I don't even know if I'm going to say all of them. There's one track where he takes like this breath before a pop song where he starts like... and like cuts that and turns it into its own beat. The track Rapper, R-A-P-P-R, is another one of my favorites. That might get another stamp. He takes this weird German guy talking and then mixes it in with Billie Eilish, which I've reviewed recently. So here's how that kind of sounds and that all comes together, if my computer ever loads, which it takes forever. So here's the German guy talking at least. And then that's going to somehow mix together with Billie Eilish. So it helps you to see the underlying insanity of that Billie Eilish song. He speed it up slightly and then put in all this weird German stuff. Alright, so there it is. I would say listen to this and listen to his last album kind of back to back. See how they sound. You know, kind of nice breadth of really personal, I'm alone in my room, I don't know how to communicate or love or live or any of that stuff. And then mix it together with someone who's having fun just listening to pop music and turning it into a punk, what's the term he uses? Plunderphonics, right? Because he's plundering and making music. That's a little bit precious, but I like it. Plunderphonics. But really, it's just modern punk. The cover is just this guy. Is that him? I don't even know. It's funny because he's like this whole social media thing, but I'm very intentionally not following him on social media. So that could be, or it could just be someone else. Who knows? Another thing I will say, last kind of thing, you know, if you like his music, I think a lot of people who watch my channel like his music, you should probably buy it. You know, I buy it now. I think I paid $5 for each of his albums. I like it. Buying music is a good thing because it supports artists. Yesterday, I bought the Andrew Bird album, my finest work yet. It's an amazing record. This was $25, and it was vinyl. It's beautiful. I'm going to own it forever. But it's a good feeling supporting artists because both these guys are doing very different things. You know, this right here is like a perfectly crafted, amazing piece of songwriting and virtuoso violin playing and mind-blowing perfection in the art of songwriting and singing and all that stuff, which is great. But this victory lap by Eric Taxxon is great in a similar way. Maybe even as great, even though it's trying to do something totally different. So that's my advertisement. Buy music. All right. Well, I'm actually going to be reviewing the Mountain Goats next. I haven't listened to them in like 20 years, so we'll see what they're up to, or he's up to. And until then, new music is the fountain of spiritual youth. This is a new plant in my house. It's pretty cool. Oh, hey, check this out. This actually used to obsess me. You will always be my player too. This is supposed to be a Valentine's. How is that a Valentine's? How is that like a loving thing to say? Like, you will always be second best to me. Anyways. All right. Until next time, there's the camera.